Welcome to the Rotary Club of Oakland. Can you feel the energy in the air? Woo! Wow. Welcome. Shh. Hello. Shh. I know we are so excited to be together, but we have a lot to accomplish today. This is the Oakland Rotary Club. We are the third oldest Rotary Club in the world. 42,000 Rotary clubs in over 200 countries, and we are so proud to be the third Rotary Club. We have a lot of guests today, so we are going to say, welcome guests. We don't have time individually to introduce all of you. We have a few special guests we'll introduce later. We do have our District Governor, Joe Derg, which I will say hello to Jill. She's only in charge of how many thousand Rotarians? How many Rotarians in our district? So she's only in charge of 3,600 Rotarians, including us. Thank you for your service this year. It's been amazing. All right. So that's our visiting Rotarian. We might have other visitors and we have some incredible Rotarians that we haven't seen in a long time, but you've been properly welcomed by an awful lot of us. So with that, I'd like to give Bill Palmer the mic to offer our thought for the day. Bill, thank you.
Okay, a thought for the day. I have 1 minute. I think I can do it. Our thought for the day comes from Ukraine, from a rabbi who was born in 1772, Rabbi Nachman. He only lived to be 38 years old, and during his life, he suffered greatly. He and his wife had 8 children. 4 of them died very young. And Rabbi Nachman, as a Jew in Ukraine, was subject to the worst kinds of discrimination and abuse. But his most important teaching was my thought for the day, and hopefully your thought for the day. And his teaching was, it is forbidden to abandon hope. And in the times we live in today, that's great advice. So again, the thought for the day is, it is forbidden to abandon hope. Thank you.
Thank you, Bill. That was fabulous. With that thought, I want to have CJ come up because we have a special announcement to make. CJ.
Thank you, President Shannon. Okay. So it is with a great deal of sadness that I share that our Bruce Nye passed away yesterday. Bruce grew up in El Cerrito and graduated from Cal. He married Risa, his high school sweetheart. They were married for 52 years, and he practiced law for 40 years. He loved the Giants and the A's. He's the father of 3 and the grandfather of 6. His commitment to our town's public service was real. He started the organization Make Oakland Better Now and was a fantastic chair of our Community Service Committee. I know we will all miss him, and I'd like to ring the bell in his honor. You want to do the moment of silence?
Thank you. Ringing the bell is a $100 generous gift to our Oakland Rotary Endowment. Tom Lamone? Dudley, thank you. Jim, Isaac, Fred. Thank you very much, everybody. Joe. Whew. So, sorry to start the meeting with sad news, but Bruce is always an incredible member of our club. Thank you, CJ. All right, now Joe Koralka has some news and an incredible new visitor and a couple of announcements.
Hello, everybody. I just want to let you know, Mark Rosen asked me to let you know, Oakland Rotary is going to be in the 4th of July parade this year up in Piedmont. We've been in before, and we're going to give it a try again this year, so I hope you come out and join us. It's a very short distance, about a quarter of a mile, but a lot of fun. So set aside 10 to noon on July 4th and come out and join us. A whole lot more details to come. So with me today, or with us today, is Sandrina Frischer, And she is a global grant scholar that Oakland Rotary sponsored, and she's getting a PhD at Oxford, focused on care for neglected tropical diseases in sub-Sahara Africa, including Uganda. With her, we may solve more diseases than just polio. Sindrit.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much, Joe, for the introduction. My name is Sandrina, and it is such a privilege to be here. I've been at Oxford for about 2.5 years now. I'm going into the last year of my PhD. And yeah, my research focuses on diseases of poverty, these diseases that impact people who are living in the most low-income settings, who generally have no access to clean water. And when you're working in these settings, there are so many questions about how to connect people to care. What's your role as a researcher? How can you best work with the local system? So I'm incredibly privileged to get to research this at the University of Oxford. And I have been able to make a tremendous number of friends there, wonderful professional connections, and really it's all thanks to Rotary. I am from the Bay Area originally. I went to UC Berkeley, and go Bears. So, getting to come home here, getting to attend this meeting today really means so much to me. And I am so grateful for the support that Rotary provides generally to global health and really through the scholarship program that has been absolutely transformative in being able to allow me to do my studies. And so I can step out and we'll see where the next chapter takes me. But really, thank you all so much. Thank you for having me here today.
Thank you. Awesome. Careful. All right, fantastic. So lots of things that Rotary is funding, and it's great to talk to a scholar that could actually continue research in curing diseases around the world. With that, one of the biggest things you can do in Rotary is to sponsor new members so that we have more people, more power, more treasure, more talent to do good things in the world. So with that, we have Seth Buckner, who's going to introduce our newest Oakland Rotary member.
Actually, President Shannon, it is members, but conducting today, East Bay Community Foundation. And 3 of its members are joining us for that. East Bay Community Foundation is the oldest community foundation in the Bay Area, opened in 1928. And in 2024, East Bay Community Foundation invested $4.2 million in community grants. That tells you what kind of club that they're joining. We appreciate that. But the members that we're going to bring is first Marta Grajeda, Director of Philanthropy. 2 interesting facts about Marta is Marta is a dog whisperer. So if you need to straighten out your dog sometime, she might be some help. Marta was also in Interact in high school. Where's Greg? So we got, and received a scholarship to attend SF State University. The next member is Elle Fearson, VP of Philanthropy. She speaks 3 languages, has 2 master's degrees, 2 citizenships, and 5 nieces and nephews. Another interesting fact about Elle is Elle used to be a lead singer in a jazz band. So we got some, who's a music guy here? That we have? Jason, we got him. And then finally we have Brandy Howard, who is the president and CEO of East Bay Community Foundation. Brandy was very interested in entomology and dissecting bugs as a child. So that's kind of shows you where she came from. But Brandy also enjoys cross-country road trips, loves to go on cross-country road trips. So without further ado, let's give a warm Rotary welcome to our newest members of Oakland Rotary number 3.
Awesome. Thank you for your partnership. Welcome to the club. We have your badges, we have some pins, we have a roster of your new 250, 260, 270, Joe Gorelka. Friends in the roster, we have information on how to connect with all of them on your phone. How many of you use Ignite, our new database? Thank you very much. And our four-way test, which is something that we live by. So here's one for each of you. So after you've been around a little bit, you'll be brought up again to give a 3-minute introduction about Beyond the Handshake, so we learn more about you. Welcome to the club. All right. Thank you, Sess. Sess, I think these are theirs. We have another new member, so you were the newest members, but now we have the newest member, Moya, and Keith is here to introduce Moya.
Newest. President Shannon, President-elect Joe, fellow Rotarians and guests, today I have the pleasure of introducing Moya Robinson as our newest Oakland Rotarian. Moya is a native Oaklander. She was raised in East Oakland. She is the second-generation realtor. Moya is an accomplished agent with Compass Realty. She grew up in a vibrant, multicultural neighborhood where jazz at Yoshi's and family barbecues shaped her early memories. She is passionate about bridging communities, especially connecting young professionals and long-term locals, which she demonstrated and was very evident the other night as the business development meeting. Two interesting facts about Moya. She's a dancer. Ballet has been a lifelong passion, and she cares deeply about animal welfare and sustainability. This is an everyday motivation. President Shannon, President-elect Joe, fellow Rotarians and guests, please welcome my friend and neighbor, who has, I get to finish the best part, and that is, who has been in open houses since she was in diapers, our newest member, Moya Robinson.
Awesome. Thank you, Moya. I can't wait to get to know you as well. Welcome, welcome. Now, something else is happening around here. Oh, Oakland Rotary Endowment. We had a little reception. We've all had a little champagne or a little very strong Martinellis. And we are celebrating the incredible generosity of this club. With that, I would like, I have a script. Darn those scripts. You know how I feel about scripts. I just ignore them. Me? Established in 1976, ORE was created to fund local community programs, youth services, and basically to make Oakland a better place. Leading up to our 2009 centennial celebration, Jack McAvoy led the ORE board to achieve President Stein's and Jellen's goal of creating a $1 million permanent endowment. 1 million. Think big, you guys. For those of you who don't know, a permanent endowment sits there and generates funds for programs in perpetuity. They reached that momentous goal at our 100th anniversary in 2009. Woo! As many of you know, we've raised a lot more since then. And with that, I'd like to actually introduce Pam Clausen to come up and tell us. Oh, well, you want Seth first? Okay, I'll do Seth first. So Seth is going to tell us more about his wonderful endowment because he's been the president for the last 3 years, and he's also our first $250,000 donor, first ever. Congratulations and thank you.
Well, this is a big day for us. It's a day for us to honor ourselves for what we do for the Oakland community. Oakland Rotary number 3 is the premier service organization in Oakland. We do service, practice service above self better than any other organization in Oakland. That's why it's important for us to make sure we maintain our endowment to go into the future generations as well. I hope you notice everybody has blue stars on their badges now. Today, everyone has a star on their badge. Please stand up and be recognized because you all have contributed to the success of ORE since its inception. Stay standing, stay standing, stay standing, stay up, stay up, stay up, stay up, stay up, stay up. Going forward, we are going to honor those Rotarians who generously donations have received following levels of $2,500, $5,000, $20,000, $10,000, $50,000, $70,000, whatever it says on the screen. We will recognize those people every year, and we'll recognize them from, we haven't had this kind of recognition since COVID, and this is in the last 5 years if you reach this level. And right now, we are naming those who have reached their particular levels since 2020. So that's what the numbers are. 2,500, round of applause, please. Now 2,500 can sit down. Now we have $5,000 level. Congratulations. You may all sit down. Then we have the $10,000 level. Applause. And please sit down. And $25,000 level. Sit down. And then the $50,000 level. Look at them. Now the $75,000 level. Stand up, stand up, stand up. Wait a minute. I didn't finish with the $75,000 level. Come on. Well, Coach, it includes Jack McAvoy, who is a 50-year member. We were recognizing him today. You see those ugly faces on everybody's there? That's what it's all about. Thank you. Then we have the $100,000 level. Sean Marks, he's not here today. The $200,000 level. Fred Morris. Fred Morris. Everybody get ready. Hey, Fred Morris. He does. He likes it. And then there's a $250,000. Thank you all, and we recognize all of you, and we will make this a standing tradition. Every year we'll recognize everybody as they get to the next level. Now, I'd like to introduce Pam Clausen. For those of you who don't know, Pam came on the board of ORE with me 3 years ago, as we did, and we were determined to raise more money and clean up our books, which Pam agreed to be the treasurer for the club. She's been instrumental to this fantastic practice in place with our accounting and fundraising. Through her hard work, we've been able to accomplish many fantastic things in Oakland. And thank you, Pam, and she's going to tell us a little bit more about where all the money went. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. So why do we do this? The next few slides summarize key performance for the almost 5.5-year period from January 20th to May 31st of 2025. Look at that bottom line, $1.872 million raised from bell ringers, Feed the Hungry, the ORE campaign, the net proceeds from the gala, scholarships. This is additional money that Rotarians have given to fund additional scholars, and the very important memorials and bequests. So next slide. What's the mission impact? We've given over that time period $1.5 million in direct support, $700,000 to youth programs, including Kinder Prep, scholarships, and Camp Enterprise. Almost $600,000 to community service for community service grants, the environment, and our Feed the Hungry. That's a conduit that just goes straight through from what we give. And finally, World Community Service, $250,000 before the match from the district to do good in the world. In addition, ORE shares administrative costs with our club. In the current year, $66,000 has been given for support for administrative costs, without which our dues would be higher. Next slide. This is the magic of This is the magic of compounding. Back in 2009, after that $1 million push, the combination of the endowment and the scholarship funds were almost $2 million. Since that time to 2019, it grew 88% to $3.7 million. And since then, it's grown another 37% to $5.1 million at the end of May. Why is it important for the endowment to grow? Because earnings from the endowment funds programs. Now more than half of the programs we fund each year is funded through the endowment distribution. You can see here that the distribution in 24-25, which is based on a 5% of the rolling market value, was $207,000 versus back in 1920 of $116,000. So 91,000, 78% growth. Think of how hard that is to raise from a gala. This is coming from your contributions funding programs going forward. Sess, I have so appreciated working under your leadership of ORE. I know how much you support achieving every Rotarian every year. We will keep trying. Based on this update, over 75% of our current members have made a contribution to ORE during their membership. Though our focus on remembering ORE in our estate plans is in its infancy, our programs are already benefiting from the gift of Jean Zahas, a $200,000 bequest, and others. That's in the balance, and it's paying, paying for programs. So we will keep focusing on that. So the final slide, let's celebrate our star. Is there a star slide there? Oh, well. Let's celebrate all the impact ORE continues to have in our community and the world. And I'd like to ring the bell for the Sess's leadership of ORE.
Thank you so much. Joe Baralka. Hello. Shauna. Patricia. John. Tricia. Tom, Christine, and for Pam, Merlin, Mario Kiddo. Thank you so much. And if you didn't raise your hand and you'd like to give, you don't have to ring the bell. You can just come on over and give. We have somebody later doing credit cards. So thank you so much, Sess, for your amazing leadership. Thank you so much for the reception and for everybody that's contributed to ORE. We have a lifetime to contribute. Thank you. So with that, we have a new special part of the program. I think Michael Buck's going to open it up. So let's hear what Michael has to say. And pretty good after a hip replacement a couple weeks ago. Welcome.
Thank you. This is my first outing. There are many individuals both real and fictional, known as Mr. We might have a slide. Yes, here we are. As Mr. Rogers was known for his children's TV show, Mr. Spock was the famous character on Star Trek. Mr. Burns owns the nuclear power plant on The Simpsons. Mr. Potato Head is a beloved toy. And Mr. Peanut is the mascot of Planters Peanuts. But did you know that we have one of our own Mr. right here in our club? Mr. Oakland Rotary is our very own Jack McAvoy. Jack, why don't you come up here on the stage and join us? I know your face is on every table, but... Now, Jack has served as club president, ORE chair, Polio Plus campaign chair, founder of the Courageous Citizens Awards, club centennial chair, and much, much more. But today, we're celebrating one more major Jack McAvoy accomplishment. Jack has been a member of the Oakland Rotary Club for 50 years. Now, traditional gifts for a 50th birthday include a gold watch, a gold pen, gold cufflinks. Jack, you're not getting any of that. But you are receiving something even better than gold. Please welcome Hope Committee Chair Gary Flaxman and former Hope Committee Chair Teresa Wyan with a very special presentation.
All right, everybody, this is to celebrate Jack, who really, it's almost impossible to get your mind around what an incredible person this man is. I have to say, all the picture that everybody has on the table, this is one of the people that, is so proud of your accomplishments. He's the uncle that everybody wishes that they had. He really, truly just generates pride, and he makes you want to be better. So for somebody that I can't say enough for, and for him inspiring me to be a Hope mentor, where it's really the last thing I was thinking of doing, and the joy that I've received from that for the many years now, we're going on 11. I can't say enough. So for everybody, please let's celebrate Jack McAvoy for just what an incredible human being this guy is.
I was inspired to make this quilt for Jack and all the Rotarians and all the mentors in the Hope program for leading Oakland's youth through the labyrinth of middle school, high school, and college. This one's for you, Jack. We think you're amazing. And on the back are the names of every Rotarian and every Hope mentee that participated in the program.
All right, we have another gift for you, Jack. A beautiful book created by member Linda Hamilton entitled Celebrating Jack McAvoy, 50 Years in the Rotary Club of Oakland, number 3, 1975 to 2025. The title of this book almost matches your longevity here in the club. It includes photos, lists of accomplishments, Jack facts, messages from fellow past presidents and members, and Shannon will present the book.
And I wanted to thank everybody who contributed to the book. We can add to the book. Alita did a fabulous job on the cover and wrappings. And Jack, this is a special memory book for the last 50 years. There is a picture of me beating you in racquetball. Remember that? So there's a picture forever. Come up here. And things like singing Mr. President, happy birthday. Pictures like that. We have so many memories of the last 50 years. You can't even believe the gratitude in this room for you. With that, I would like to give you your 50-year pin. Wow. And we also have a special presentation from Mr. Gorelka. So many things.
Jack, would you squeeze up here a little bit? And Shannon, would you stand right next to him on the left? And Mike, would you stand next to Shannon on the left as well? And Jack, would you hold that and prop that up? So Jack, or should I say Mr. Rotarian, I have here a proclamation from the city of Oakland. It has many whereas on it to mention many of your memorable accomplishments. It also celebrates your 50 years with Oakland Rotary Number 3 and acknowledges your outstanding service to our community. And declares today, June 5th, 2025, Jack McAvoy Day. Signed by our own mayor, Barbara Lee. Congratulations, Jack.
And framed by Alita Scola's Frame Factory in Grand Avenue, the most amazing frame job. Thank you so much, Alita. And congratulations, it's Mr. McAvoy Day. That's pretty cool. That's pretty good. Oh, we have something else. We have this other kind of special gift that's shown up. We have a special, my former track mate from Piedmont High School and good friend Mario Kyoto. Can you come up and tell us why you're here? Another Mr. Oakland, Mario Kyoto.
Thank you, President Shannon, and fellow high schooler and high school crush. To say it's an honor to be here is an understatement. I met Jack and David Stein at the same time about 23 years ago. It's going on 24 years ago. In the very early conception of trying to state my case why we needed to create the Remember Them monument. And Jack and David and Rotary became a huge supporter, along with many other organizations and people, but without the credibility of that, all the other support could not have happened. And it was these hands reaching out, and I couldn't help but think about Jack through the years, and Jack has been like a second dad to me, in all seriousness. If you remember when my dad passed away, this man advised me and stuck up for me, and so many other things, and I will always treasure and love you for that. So it's always been real helping hands, and the Rotary Club is helping hands. So, one of the things I did when I created the Remember Them monument is made a multitude of sculptural studies of each figure so I could figure out how it was all put together. And today, I would like to give you, Jack, the hands of hope and the hands of helping of Helen Keller. Just bear with me a second. So, these are the hands of hope that I had to sculpt separate that ultimately became a 22-foot sculpture. Thank you, Jack and everyone.
Thank you, Mario. The lasting work of your art in this community will be forever, and we're happy we were a part of it. Mr. McAvoy, we love you. That's all. I'd like you to introduce your guests and your family, because it was so wonderful to have them join us. And what do you have to say?
Wow. I had no expectation of anything like this. And when Seth did his presentation about raising the funds, my heart warmed, because I know that that's the key to longevity of Oakland Rotary. Take just a second to say how thrilled I am to have my family here, my daughter Heather, my son Adam, and my new life partner, Sandy Magnuson. Please recognize them and thank them for being here. You know, I didn't realize how special a day it was until I showed up down at the beginning of the stairs. And I looked up the stairs and I saw that they were all painted green in honor of my heritage. So it had to be a beautiful day after that. Thank you, everyone, for being here today, for enjoying the program, for just being who you are in support of the city of Oakland and the kids and people that we help. Thank you.
Jack McAvoy, we have a few bell ringers. That means $100, dear. Be careful. If you don't know, be careful. I am going to do my best and just recognize John, Shauna, supposed to talk slower, Jason, Michael Bruck, Joe Goralka, Tom Lamone, Lorna Padilla, Carrie Wise, Linda, John, Gudrun, Heather, Ken, Alex, Mary. How am I doing, Jesse? Ed, Alita, Fred, Mary Redser, Dudley, Stephanie, Cedric, Jim, Berlin, Pat? Pat, so good to have you here. Pam Clausen. Dudley, did I get you? Tricia, Linda, our new member, Cecily, not Cecily. Carla. I did not say hello to my friends on Zoom, but there might be some friends on Zoom. Oh, sorry. What are you talking about? John Clausen, Deborah Barnes, Harold Lowe, and anyone else. Thank you. That was raising a few $1,000s for our Oakland Rotary endowment. And everybody can bring your credit card and save us the time of sending you an invoice to Jesse Schmidt, and we'll have two card slides on the way out. But thank you so much for your generosity. Thank you to our speaker for offering a couple of your minutes. I apologize for getting you up a little bit late. And Jack, thank you for all you've done and all you've meant to not only developing leaders, but developing funds and developing programs and inspiring others to do the work. Thank you. All right. It's time for our speaker. Diana is our new member, and she's introducing our speaker for today. Thank you, Diana.
I don't know how I'm going to follow all of that. Congratulations again to Jack. I am so excited to be a new member and getting the opportunity to know somebody like you. You're an inspiration. President Shannon and fellow Rotarians, thank you for honoring me with the opportunity to introduce our next speaker. This is a great honor. So, Mr. Ted Dang is an Oakland native. He was born and raised in Oakland, Chinatown in the early 50s. He attended Oakland public schools and graduated from UC Berkeley. Go Bears! Go Bears! For the past 51 years, he's been active in the real estate investments market, management, development, and brokerages. In the past, you may recognize him. He's spoken to the Rotary Club about his community work in starting the East Bay Asian Local Development Corporation, an Oakland-based affordable housing and community development organization. He also spoke to the Rotary Club while running for mayor in 1994. Today, he will share a topic that is near and dear to my heart as a comic book aficionado, collecting comic books for fun and for profit. Let's welcome Mr. Ted Dang, please.
Thank you and good afternoon. I'm delighted to be here. I've already had the chance to meet a lot of old friends and potentially new ones. I've always been impressed with Oakland Rotary. You folks have done an amazing job in this community. But today, I'm going to share some information with you that may make you sad, but it may also make you happy. It depends if you or your family threw out your comic books when you were growing up, or if you still have them at home in the attic or in the basement. Because somehow, when I grew up in Oakland, I had the opportunity to get into the comic book business. And it turned into one of the largest, at that time in the 1960s, comic book dealers by mail order in the East Bay. And it gave me a great foundation for my career in real estate investments. But I have a slideshow I'll share with you with some more information on how that happened. I'll start with telling you a little bit about the evolution and history of comic books. And it wasn't until the 30s that they actually had comic books. Before that, newspapers always had cartoons. Political cartoons were very popular. But some artists thought it'd be nice to make a series of cartoons and made them a comic strip. And by the 1920s, people start compiling those comics, strip cartoons, and selling them as a pamphlet. And that was also the time when people just had a yearning for literature. Pulp magazines became very popular. They were printed on cheap paper, but they were short novels, and with characters like the Shadow or Tarzan, they became good sellers. And Disney came out with Snow White and Mickey Mouse in the 20s and 30s. And there was a lot of demand for those cartoons as well as for printed copies of those characters. But in the 1930s, Famous Funnies started putting out 64-page comic books for 10 cents that were very popular. And by 1938, Joe Simon and Joe Shuster came up with the idea for Superman. 1938, the first copy of Superman was published. Next slide. Next slide, please. There you go. That's action number 1. Now, that sold for 10 cents. How much is it selling for today? The last sale was $3.2 million. But it all depends on condition. If it's in near mint condition from 1938, it gets a premium. But the cheapest copy in maybe fair condition sells for $300,000. Now, because action number 1 did so well, they had Superman have its own run, starting with number 1 soon afterwards. And that did well, so more superheroes came up. Batman, Flash, Green Lantern. Next slide, please. And they started to branch out into cartoon comic books, science fiction, teen comic books. World War II initiated a lot of demand for war-related comic books. Crime comic books, Dick Tracy, Police Story, sex and romance, and classic illustrated. Now, how many of you had to do a book report, didn't have a chance to read the book, so you bought a classic illustrated, and got the plot, and turned in your assignment? So that was the golden age of comic books, because during the war, all the soldiers who were overseas loved to get their comic books. And every month there were like 500,000 copies published and distributed throughout the world. After World War II, the circulation dropped to only 50,000. So we call the early 1940s the golden age of comic books. But beginning in the 1950s, we had what we call the Silver Age. Next slide, please. After World War II, there were a lot more creative ideas on what type of comic books you can have. Look at this one, published by EC Publication, Bill Gaines, who was also the publisher of Mad Magazine. But he found that horror and science fiction had a huge demand. Next slide. This is what they were selling at the newsstands, and parents were very upset. Those comics that used to sell for 10 cents, these are now worth about $200 to $400 each. But because the parents objected to it, this psychologist named Frederick Wortham, he wrote a book called Secrets Behind the Comics, and said that this was an impact on our young people. This needs to be controlled and censored. And out of that, in 1954, they had the Comic Code Authority take over the publication of comic books. Next slide, please. So by the 1960s, all the comic books had a code on the front cover. Next slide. And the next slide is 1963, Fantastic Four #1. Oh, okay. Okay. Well, Fantastic Four #1 was printed by Marvel Comics, and it signified a new era in comic books. It was published by Stan Lee and drawn by Jack Kirby. And this comic book was different because it focused on the personal problems of the superheroes. I mean, before the superheroes like Superman and Batman, everything they did was amazing. In Fantastic Four, every one of the characters had problems, but people enjoyed it. So Fantastic Four #1 created a whole slew of new characters for Marvel Comics. In this comic book, the latest mint condition copy sold for $180,000. Regular editions, fair condition, maybe $25,000. Next slide. From that success, they published Spider-Man. And Spider-Man was a big hit. I mean, it really catered to the teenage audience. And he had his own title. But Amazing Fantasy was the first of that run. And it evolved to more recent times as a movie series. And anytime you have a movie about a comic book character, the sales of those comic books, or the original comics books, escalated tremendously. A mint condition copy of Amazing Fantasy 15 sold for $1 million. Average copy, maybe $50,000. Next slide, please. So anyway, I grew up in Oakland during this time, the late 50s and 1960s. And it was difficult when I was growing up to get a job. A lot of my friends had paper routes, but my mom said, no, I don't want you delivering newspapers in the rain and every day being responsible for that. So I had to think of new ways to make money. And in those days, comic books had a section called Letters to the Editor. And they would publish the people who sent the letters in. And we would sometimes write to these people and say, oh, I saw your letter in so-and-so comic book. Do you collect comic books? Do you need any other issues? And they would respond, yes, I'm happy you contacted me. Do you have this issue that we're missing? I actually had a pen pal in England, and I said, do you collect comic books? And they said, yes. And she sent me every few months a whole stack of English comic books, and I would send her a stack of American comic books, and we had a great relationship. But then this fan base evolved. It evolved into fandom, and people were publishing on mimeograph paper their own magazines that they would share with people who liked certain types of comic books. And in those fanzines, they had ads. I want this comic book. I'm selling these comic books. And there became a mail order industry that developed out of it. Next slide, please. Now, this is where I grew up, in Oakland, Chinatown, on the corner of 7th and Jackson Street. 2 blocks from Lincoln School. I went to Lincoln, Westlake, Oakland Tech. And my dad bought this property in 1932 for $4,000. And his first family was raised there. I was raised there in the 50s and 60s. My dad, when he retired, he became an herbalist, and he ran his herb business on the corner, right there. It was sort of a storefront. It used to be a grocery store. And in that space, when he retired, we took over. We used it as a family room, a playroom, a neighborhood gathering place, and also for the comic books we were buying. Next slide. This is the comic book that really turned me on to collecting. Uncle Scrooge is Donald Duck's uncle. And he was a character created by Carl Barks in 1949. And he wrote and he drew every Uncle Scrooge story that came out for the next 20 years. But nobody knew him because Walt Disney claimed credit for all of his artists. But these stories by Carl Barks were so well written. He researched the history behind his stories. He paid attention to each succeeding issue, that it was an ongoing series of stories. And when I read this comic book, when I bought it used 2 for a nickel, this was my favorite character. Next slide. So how did we expand on our comic book business? Well, downtown Oakland in the 1960s was a booming place. They had 6 department stores, at least 6 theaters, and 6 used bookstores. I bought that Uncle Scrooge comic book at Books and Magazine, 9th and Broadway. There was Joyce Bookshop at 11th and Franklin, Golden Gate Bookshop at 1825 San Pablo. There were DeLauer's newsstand that had regular deliveries of comic books every month. There were thrift shops that had it, Goodwill, Salvation Army. The Alameda Penny Market, every Sunday, my brother and I would take the early bus to the Alameda Flea Market. He would start on one end, I would start on the other, and we would stock up our inventory. Neighborhood grocery stores had overruns of comic books that they sold. And of course, our friends in the neighborhood, our classmates at school, if they had excess comic books, we were always willing to deal, trade, or sell, or buy. And it was interesting because when we were buying comic books, people said, oh, you guys like to read comic books, the funny books? You could just kids, you can have them for 3 cents or 5 cents or whatever. They didn't know I was going to sell it for $2 or $5 or whatever. Next slide, please. This is an example of the overruns that they had in neighborhood grocery stores. Famous Funnies number 212. I never read it. I'm not even sure what the story is about. The value is in the cover. This cover was painted by Frank Frazetta. I'm not sure if any of you know who Frank Frazetta is, But he is considered one of the leading artists of fantasy and science fiction ever. I had the chance to visit his home in East Stroudsburg, Pennsylvania, just a few years ago after he passed. He passed in 2020. But Frank Frazetta did the covers of Eerie Magazine, Vampirella. He did movie covers, and he had a following of artists that copied his style, because the paintings that he did were so attractive, movie stars and producers all wanted to buy it. And I understand that Steve Spielberg, George Lucas, Sylvester Stallone all went to his house to buy his paintings. But that was just one example of the comic books that were available out there for a nickel that I could easily sell for $2 or $3. And I think just searching for them, if I would go to a neighborhood, I'd check out the neighborhood grocery store and see what they had. And I always pick up a couple every time I visit it. So I made it a point of being able to bird dog new inventory wherever I go. So to sell the comic books, we advertise in the fanzines. I also had an advantage because when I went to Westlake Junior High School, class is over at 3:05. First place we would go to the used bookstores. We would hop on the bus. We'd be there before anybody else from the other schools could get there. And we would be there to get the latest deliveries of used books they got from their suppliers. And then we'd be on our way out, and the other kids from the other schools said, "Hey, you bought everything we want." I said, "Well, come over to my house. Maybe we can sell you some of them." But the comic book business started turning into an industry. They had the major San Diego comic book convention in LA. They started to have them in New York. San Francisco and Oakland also had them. And eventually they had a number of comic book stores that started. Next slide. But this is an example of the fanzines. Those fans that grouped together through the mail list on comic books and started to publish their own fanzines. There's one called Rocket Splash. There was one called Comic Collector. And they combined and published the Rocket Splash Comic Collector. And they had a circulation, probably a couple of thousand. So overnight, there was a huge demand for buyers and collectors. And we can advertise, and I would type up an ad, old typewriters, and we get a one-page ad for maybe $25. And during the summer, we would send in one every month. And in the mail, I get all these envelopes with checks. So that's how we paid our way through high school and college. And that continued until 1970. Next slide. Finally, somebody decided there needed to be a reference on what comic books are really worth. So a fellow named Robert Overstreet published the first comic book price guide. He actually went through all the price lists from the dealers and the buyers and recent sales, and he put together this book that told people what their comic books were worth. So people started to realize their comic books weren't just worthless, they might be very valuable. Next slide, please. So when I was in the business, our market advantage was location. We were in the right place to take advantage of the business. We were at the right age. Nobody suspected what we were up to. Our timing was perfect. And we had to adapt to the trends. There was more competition, there's speculation, there's diversification. And I learned how to apply that to our business interests. Next slide. For example, this is the first copy of Conan the Barbarian, published in 1970 for 15 cents. We knew it would be a winner. I bought 100 copies at the Lauer's newsstand for 15 cents each, mint condition. It sells now for $500. I'm coming to that. Next slide. Now, this is an example of how Conan the Barbarian and Frank Frazetta came together. Frank drew a lot of the covers for pocketbooks for science fiction and fantasy characters. He drew this cover for this edition of Conan. And because he drew it, the sales of this pocketbook more than doubled. That shows the significance of Frank Frazetta. Next slide, please. And this is Frank Frazetta's Dark Kingdom that he painted in 1976. It just sold for $6.3 million. Getting into that. Next page. Now, you didn't have to buy paintings or comic books to invest in collectibles at the time. Mars attack cards were published in 1962, 5 cents for a pack of 5. There are 55 in the collection, and kids love them because they had pictures of aliens killing people, eviscerating animals, sexy victims, and those cards today are worth anywhere from $200 to $500 each for the originals. But we even kept the covers to the pack of cards, and these covers sell for $20. Next slide, please. But my brother kept the box. I don't know, after all those years, we had the box that the cards came in, and he sold that on eBay for $1,800. Now, you wonder why somebody would pay $1,800 for that box. Well, we soon saw somebody duplicated them. In fact, somebody replicated the cards, the wrappers, and the box, and are selling them today on eBay for a lot more than their original value. And that's what people are doing now. They're reprinting a lot of these old documents. Well, we took advantage of the inefficiencies in the market, but today, with internet and eBay, things have changed. More properties are being sold as reprints, and it's just gotten to be a lot different. But when I went to college, I had to give up some of this. We had $25,000. I have 25,000 comics stored in my garage. Next picture. And this is what happened to it. Next picture. Well, to make it short, I was in the Oakland Hills fire in 1992. All my comic books burned up. But we had, next slide also, and the slide next to that. Because it was a disaster, if you ever lose your stuff, collectibles in a disaster, the insurance companies are more flexible. And I got my maximum reimbursement through personal property. My brother even got reimbursement for off-premises personal property. We made money on this. I don't have to drag those comic books around. Next slide. Now, this is the last slide I want to share with you. Next to the last slide. I own Action Number 1. I bought it for $20,000 through my pension plan because it allowed for you to use your money in the pension to buy collectibles. And I also bought Batman number 1, Detective 27, Submariner number 1, Captain America number 1. But I had to appraise them every year, and my administrator said it'd be a problem, so I had to trade it to my brother for real estate. So that's gone. And the final slide, this is what I collect now. Remember Uncle Scrooge?
Thank you so much. I'm sorry we ran out of time. Ted, as a gift for our speakers, Rotary International has been working hard to wipe out the polio off the face of the planet, and we are this close to curing polio. These really loud hearing aid? No, okay. Anyway, we give you a gift to cure polio in your name. Thank you very much. Please welcome our new members as you go out. We have cake. We should have taken a pause, but we ran out of time. We have cake in honor of Jack's 50th anniversary, so please stop by and have some cake, stay a little bit and enjoy a fellowship with friends that we haven't seen in a while if you can. And there's been an awful lot of magic. Our theme this year is the magic of Rotary, and Jack's made a lot of magic, and so have all of you with your contributions to Oakland Rotary Endowment. Thank you. This meeting is adjourned.